Welcome to A1 Storyteller, where stories aren't just told, they're felt deep in your soul. This is the channel where every word pulls you in, where emotions run deep, and where the truth behind every face gets revealed in the most unexpected ways. We don't just entertain, we awaken hearts, challenge minds, and spotlight the raw, real stories you won't hear anywhere else. Today, we bring you one of the most powerful stories we've ever told. It's the story of a 12-year-old black boy named Jaden Carter. To some, he was invisible. To others, just another quiet kid with worn-out shoes and a tired look in his eyes. But beneath the silence, beneath the heavy backpack he carried every day, was a secret. They laughed at him, mocked him, they called him names, spread rumors. But none of them knew that behind those tired eyes was a young warrior, fighting battles no child should ever have to face. While other kids played video games, he changed diapers. While bullies posted videos, he ran through storms to save a life. While the world turned its back, he stepped up with courage, love, and a strength that would shake an entire community to its core. This is the story of how one boy, with nothing but heart and grit, sacrificed everything for the one person who needed him most, his baby sister, sir. And how the same bullies who laughed at him would come to see him as the biggest hero they'd ever known. Get ready, because what you're about to hear, it's not just a story, it's a revelation. This is a bully's mocked black boy, then discover he sacrificed everything to save his baby sister. Only from A1 Storyteller, where the truth hits harder than fiction. Riverside Middle School was the kind of place where you were either somebody or you were invisible. The halls echoed with laughter, locker slams, and the low hum of teachers trying to control chaos. Kids in fresh Jordans strutted past others in worn sneakers without a second glance. The rules of popularity weren't written on paper, but they were enforced like law. 12-year-old Jaden Carter existed in the gray spaces between. Not a troublemaker, not a standout. Quiet, head down, always alone. Always alone. Jaden was the kind of kid who teachers often described as irrespectful but distant. He turned in assignments on time, never talked back, never asked questions, just faded into the background like a chalk outline. No one noticed long enough to erase, but some did notice. And not in a good way. Leo, here he comes. Mr. Ashy ankles himself. Marcus roared from across the hallway, slapping his friend Sean on the shoulder. Jaden didn't flinch. His socks were mismatched. His hoodie was too big. His backpack, fraying at the seams, hung on one shoulder. Sean chimed in. Yo, what's in the bag, bro? Still bringing your lunch in that old grocery bag? Ain't nobody trying to trade for your stale peanut butter sandwich, man. Why don't you bring two next time? Brett snickered. One for the sister you keep hiding from us. What's her name again? Chlamydia? The group erupted into laughter. Jaden said nothing. She always said nothing. Because Jaden had learned early that silence didn't get you laughed at. Silence didn't get your mom called. Silence didn't make things worse. But his silence was not weakness. If they only knew what it covered. Home, where the weight really was. The Carter apartment was on the third floor of a rundown building with a rusted fire escape and flickering hallway lights. The buzzer never worked. The heating barely did. And the elevator, forget it. Jaden unlocked the door to apartment 3B and stepped into a world that demanded everything of him. The smell of medicine mixed with baby powder filled the tiny two-bedroom unit. In the living room, lying on a thin mattress near the window, was Tamika Carter, Jaden's mother. Once a vibrant, fierce woman with a booming laugh and strong arms, she was now thin, pale, and fading. Cancer had ravaged her body over the past year. But Jaden didn't have time to cry, because from the back room came the whimper of a toddler, 2 years old. Jaden's baby sister. With thick curls and wide, expressive eyes, she was the one light in his dark, crumbling world. He dropped his bag, washed his hands in the rusty sink, and went straight to her. Hey, Mama's girl, he whispered, lifting her into his arms. She felt warm, too warm. Mom, he called out. She's warm again. Tamika coughed from the mattress, her voice a whisper. I tried to give her the syrup, baby, but I dropped the bottle. I'm sorry, Jaden shook his head. It's okay, Mom. I got it. When other kids were loading up Xboxes or texting in group chats, Jaden was at Mr. D's diner, a 24-hour hole in the wall that smelled like burnt grease and coffee. Jaden worked there washing dishes for 3 hours after school, then again from 9 p.m. to midnight on weekends. He never told anyone. Not the teachers, not the school counselor, not even his mom knew how late he stayed sometimes. He didn't want her to worry, but bills had to be paid. Meds had to be bought, diapers, food, cleaning supplies, and now a new thermometer. He took the trash out back, wiping sweat from his forehead as the cold wind cut through his threadbare hoodie. He shivered, teeth chattering. He thought of Elia's tiny body curled against his side last night, wheezing in her sleep. And he kept going. It started like any other Monday, mockery, snickers, and being shoved into a locker door by accident. But this time, something slipped out of Jaden's backpack. A baby bottle. It bounced off the tiled hallway floor and rolled to a stop at Marcus's foot. Marcus picked it up, grinning. Oh, what do we have here? What do we have here? Is our boy Jaden still breastfeeding? Sean's eyes lit up. Yo, he got a baby at home. You got a secret kid? He probably is the baby. They laughed louder than ever. Phones were out. Pictures were snapped. Video rolled. Jaden snatched the bottle, stuffing it back into his bag, his fists clenched, knuckles white. But he still said nothing. They didn't deserve his truth. Alea's fever spiked. Tamika tried to sit up but collapsed. The medicine was gone. Jaden had no ride, no phone credit. The bus wouldn't come for another 45 minutes, and the emergency clinic was 17 blocks away. He didn't think. He wrapped Alia in a towel, threw on his sneakers, and ran. Rain started halfway there, cold, heavy, unforgiving. He ran until his arms ached, until his legs trembled, until he couldn't see straight. He burst into the clinic, soaked to the bone, clutching his sister like a lifeline. She can't breathe, he gasped. Please, Alia had pneumonia, severe. They told Jaden he saved her life by bringing her in when he did. Another hour, they said. Maybe 2. That's all she had left. Jaden curled up on the hospital floor, wet clothes still clinging to him, and cried silently for the first time in years, not because of the bullies. Not because of the poverty, but because she was still alive. And that made everything worth it. The hospital room was dim. The only light came from the soft glow of the monitor beside Alia's crib. Her tiny chest rose and fell under a warm blanket, and 4 in her arm and an oxygen mask secured gently over her nose and mouth. Jaden sat in the chair beside her, his head resting against the metal rail, eyes bloodshot and heavy. His clothes were still damp from the rain. His stomach growled, but he ignored it. He hadn't slept in over 30 hours. The nurse, a kind-eyed woman named Maria, walked in quietly with a sandwich and juice box. You need to eat, sweetheart, she whispered. I'm fine, he mumbled. You're not. You're just trying to be. She left the food on the tray and gave him a warm pat on the shoulder. Outside the room, the social worker stood talking quietly with the attending doctor. They were starting to piece things together. No guardian had come to check in. No emergency contacts had answered. The boy had run through the storm with a toddler in his arms. At Riverside Middle School, the video of the baby bottle falling out of Jaden's bag had gone viral. Comments poured in. Yo, he really a daddy? Edo Mao, this is wild. The bro needs diapers. Not textbooks. Not textbooks. Wait, what if it's not his kid? A few kids started whispering, and maybe it's his little sister, but no one was sure. Marcus saw his video racking up views and was proud of it. He showed it to the basketball team during lunch, laughing hard. I made him famous, he said, smugly. What? Then the principal entered the cafeteria with a tight expression. Marcus, Sean, Brett. My office. Now, Principal Rowan was a hard woman. Military mom. No nonsense. She sat the boys down and played the video without a word. When it ended, she folded her arms. Do you think this is funny? Marcus blinked. I mean, kinda. Do you know where Jaden Carter is right now? His baby sister nearly died from pneumonia. He carried her in the pouring rain through almost 20 blocks just to save her life. The room went dead silent. But do you know why he had that bottle? She continued. Because he's raising her alone. His mother is dying of cancer. He works after school, takes care of the baby, does the cooking, the cleaning, while still coming here every day. Sean lowered his eyes. Marcus looked like someone punched him in the gut. Principal Rowan's voice cracked. You mocked him, laughed at him. You humiliated him in front of the school for doing something that would break most grown men. None of the boys said a word. You boys need to think long and hard about the difference between being strong and being cruel. She dismissed them. Guilt takes root. Marcus didn't go back to class. He sat on the steps behind the gym, phone off, head down. He thought about the video, Jaden's face when the bottle hit the floor. Not angry, not even embarrassed, just tired, hollow. For the first time in his privileged, easy life, Marcus felt small. The visit 3 days later, Jaden returned to school. His hoodie was more faded than ever. His eyes had shadows under them. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. He walked into the building, and the whispers started. But they weren't mocking this time. They were stunned, confused, guilty. No one knew what to say. Then Marcus walked up to him. Alone. No smirk, no phone. Yo, Jaden, he started, voice low. Jaden glanced up, wary. I didn't know, Marcus said, about your sister, or your mom, or any of it. Jaden didn't reply. I just look, man, I was a jerk. We all were. I'm sorry. I really mad. Jaden's stare didn't soften. He gave a single nod and kept walking. Marcus stood there, throat tight, unsure whether to feel relief or shame. Probably both. The ripple effect, the truth came out in waves. A teacher quietly told the staff. A counselor shared the story in a faculty meeting. A few students, touched by the truth, began spreading awareness. It wasn't long before the story reached the local news. 12-year-old boy saves baby sister while caring for terminally ill mother. Pictures of Jaden sleeping beside Elia's crib. Interviews with nurses praising his bravery. Even Principal Rowan shared her thoughts in a tearful interview. He's a child with the strength of 100 adults. And we failed him. Donations started coming in. Someone set up a GoFundMe. The goal was $5,000. It hit $100,000 in a week. The shift school wasn't the same. People smiled at Jaden now. Teachers offered support. Classmates who used to ignore him asked if he needed help. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. His actions had already spoken louder than anyone ever had. Marcus, Sean, and Brett spent their Saturdays volunteering at the same clinic that had treated Elia. They didn't do it for show. They did it because they finally understood. Jaden had taught them that. Not with words, but with sacrifice. Weeks passed. Jaden Carter walked the halls of Riverside Middle School with a strange new aura around him. Some called it respect. Others called it presence. But the truth, he was still the same kid. Still the one who double knotted his sneakers because they were starting to split at the sides. Still the one who packed formula in his backpack instead of snacks. Still the one who raced home after the bell to check on his mom and his baby sister. Only now, the world had finally noticed. New pressures, the media buzz didn't fade overnight. Reporters called the school. Donations poured in. The school counselor, Miss Rivera, became Jaden's unofficial advocate. She arranged doctor appointments, sat with Elia at the clinic when Jaden couldn't, and even started visiting Tamika at home. Tamika's condition had worsened. The cancer had spread to her liver. She no longer had the strength to stand. Her voice had grown thinner, her eyes dimmer. But her spirit, God, her spirit, God, her spirit, was ironclad. I want to see Aliyah smile. I want to hold Jaden's hand. I just need more time. The CPS knock, then came the knock Jaden had feared for months. Child Protective Services. 2 social workers arrived at apartment 3B, polite, smiling, but firm. We received reports, they said. Your mother is terminal. You're only 12. We need to talk about guardianship. Jaden sat frozen on the couch, Aliyah squirming in his arms. You can't take her, he said, voice trembling. She's my sister. I take care of her. I feed her. I change her. I wake up with her every night. Oh, we understand, the woman said gently. The woman said gently. Tozier, you've done an incredible job, but the law says a child can't raise a child. Tamika weakly raised her head from her mattress. He's not raising her. He's loving her. And love don't need a license. They gave her sad eyes. We'll be back, they said. Jaden's breaking point that night. Jaden sat in the dark, staring out the window. The city lights blurred in his vision. He had held it together for so long, through the bullying, the hunger, the long nights. But this, losing Aliyah, he couldn't survive that. He picked up his cracked phone and called the only number he trusted, the call to Principal Rowan. When Principal Rowan answered the late-night call, she heard one thing in Jaden's voice: fear. It's the law. Rowan didn't hesitate. It's the law. Rowan didn't hesitate. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Community rises. Principal Rowan didn't come alone. By morning, the Carter apartment was filled with people. Ms. Rivera, Nurse Maria, Pastor Jennings from the community church, 2 teachers from Riverside. Even Marcus's mom showed up with bags of groceries. They weren't just there to comfort, they were there to fight. Together, they began the process to file for guardianship assistance, temporary custody exceptions, and community-supported child care plans. I will personally vouch for this boy, Rowan said in front of a juvenile court officer. He's more responsible than half the adults I've ever known. A mother's goodbye days passed. Tamika knew her time was coming. One evening, she called Jaden to her bedside. Aliyah slept soundly between them, tiny hands balled into fists. Tamika's voice was barely audible. You saved us, baby. You saved your sister's life. You saved mine more than once. They didn't do enough, Jaden whispered. I couldn't fix you. You did everything, she said. You made me proud every single day. She reached for his hand. You remember what I told you when your daddy left? Jaden nodded slowly. That men don't run when it gets hard. Tamika smiled weakly. That's right. And you didn't run. You stood tall, even when no one saw you, even when it hurt. I'm scared, he admitted, tears spilling down his face. I know, baby. But listen, no matter what happens, you keep loving, keep fighting. For her, for you. She kissed his hand one last time. And then she was gone. Funeral, it was a simple ceremony. A small church. Wooden pews. Soft gospel music humming in the background. Jaden stood at the front, Aliyah in his arms. I don't have a lot of words, he said, voice breaking. But my mom, she was a warrior in everything I am. That's her. I'll take care of Aliyah, Mom. I swear. No one in the room had dry eyes. Aftermath and awakening weeks passed. CPS returned. But this time, they were met with paperwork, signatures, and court orders. Through Principal Rowan's help and a family friend fostering program, Jaden was granted joint custody of Aliyah with a rotating group of trusted adults helping with support. He stayed in school, still worked part-time, still cared for Aliyah, but he wasn't alone anymore. He was seen. Transformation at school. Jaden joined the school's mentorship program. He started tutoring younger kids, sharing his story with others. And the bullies? Marcus now walked beside him in the hall. No longer mocking, just learning. Learning how to be better. Learning how to admire without jealousy. Learning what true strength looked like. 1 year to the day after Tamika's passing, Riverside held its annual Hero Awards. Jaden Carter, now 13, stood on stage holding Alea's hand. The crowd stood. Every single person. Teachers, students, staff, parents, even local news crews. He was no longer invisible. He was a symbol of perseverance, of sacrifice, of love. And that's the incredible journey of Jaden Carter, once mocked, now honored. A boy who rose above bullying, tragedy, and impossible odds to protect the one soul who mattered most, his baby sister. At A1 Storyteller, we don't just share stories. We share truth. We share strength. We share the heartbeats of real people. If this story moved you, comment, and subscribe, because we've got more stories that will shake your soul and remind you of the power inside all of us. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, stay human, stay human.